Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Judith Hamilton is one of the co-founders of Grow Her Business, a community of female service providers. She recommends trying a number of different networking groups to find one that really suits you. Networking groups are very much affected by the person who's running them, and even networking groups that are part of the same franchise can have a very different feel depending on who it is that's at the front. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast this morning, Judith.
Oh, it's brilliant to be here, Liz. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Now, you wear a few hats, I think it's fair to say, as a chartered management accountant, as a business coach, as the co-founder of Grow Her Business. But I just wanted to have a little dig into your background first. So how did you get started, Judith? What was your first job and what's your career path been?
Right, so at university I did an accounting and business degree. And then I came out and I wanted to get the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants qualification. So they are the accountants that actually work in businesses. So they're not the ones that work in practice that do the accounts and VATs. So I started off my working career in manufacturing, a clothing manufacturing company. Our biggest customer was Marks and Spencer's, which was quite an eye-opener. I could tell you some stories about how they operate. So I worked there for 7 years in manufacturing and worked my way up through the accounting ranks and started doing my CIMA exams. And then I got properly qualified CIMA in 2000. Which is doing the exams, but also having a portfolio of experience that you needed to meet. And then after manufacturing, I went into higher education. So I worked at a university for a number of years as a senior management accountant. And whilst I was there, I got the opportunity to try a bit of general management. So I became faculty manager for the business and law faculty, and I really enjoyed it. And managing staff for the first time obviously brings its challenges, but it also brings its rewards. And then I was very career driven, and I then moved away from there, stayed in general management and went into private health. And so I was operations manager supporting the general manager of a private Bupa hospital. And I loved health, so I fell in love with the health industry, but I was really missing finance, and there was some finance involved in the role but not loads. So then I made the conscious decision to move to the NHS, where I spent about 14 years working in senior finance roles in the NHS across a number of different trusts. And I covered acute care, I covered community health, mental health. I was on the commissioning side of health, and I was on the provider side of health. So I got an awful lot of all-round experience working in the NHS, and I was working at deputy director of finance level. I left there about 10 years ago, purely for lifestyle reasons. I got well paid. I got a lot of experience, but it was very, very stressful. And sometimes you have to make decisions in life that you have to put your health and your family first, and I did that. So 10 years ago, set up on my own, supporting small businesses, bringing all my knowledge and experience from my corporate world as such into the small business arena. And up until recently, I've been providing sort of virtual FD services for small businesses and business coaching. And I still do some business coaching, but I don't do so much of the virtual FD stuff now, because my passion is Grow Her Business. Which I set up earlier this year with my co-founder, Elaine Atherton. So Elaine's a sales coach, has a very successful sales career behind her, which I will let her tell maybe one day herself. And obviously I've got my finance background. I'm a trained business coach, and I use the word trained very I emphasize that because there's a lot of people popped up after the pandemic calling themselves business coaches, and they hadn't done any training or hadn't got any experience. So I went to London, did some training. I've got a master's in business administration as well that I did many years ago. So with my finance, my sort of finance expertise, my business coaching expertise, and then Elaine's sales coaching, we set up Grow Her Business, which is all about supporting ladies who provide a service to basically be a success. And, you know, whatever their dreams are for their business, we support them to reach those.
Yeah, fantastic. So how did it actually come about? I mean, how did you know Elaine? Had you met previously?
Interesting that this podcast is about networking, because that's exactly how I met Elaine. So Elaine lives many miles away from me. Elaine lives up on the Wirral and I live in Rutland. And we were introduced in the first lockdown. We were introduced to each other by someone I'd met on an online networking event said to me, you know, I think you need to talk to Elaine because I think you two are helping the same client.
Yeah.
And we were introduced by this guy and we hit it off immediately. And we've been talking about working together as in having, you know, something like this for a few years.
Yeah.
And Elaine was obviously busy doing her work. I was busy doing my work and we kept sort of putting it off. And then eventually last summer we were like, no, we have to do this because we know we can bring so much value. So we started working on it last summer and it was born in January this year.
Fantastic. And so when you had this idea for Grow Her Business, had you met in real life or had it all been virtual up to that point?
All virtual. And as we stand today, Elaine and I still haven't met in person.
Really?
And I'm embarrassed to say that, Liz. I really am. We tried to meet each other in the summer this year, but we both had some sort of life things going on that just meant we had to postpone it. But we are planning to get together before Christmas. But yes, it's all virtual.
Yeah.
And we talk every day, texting, ringing, Zooms, you know, we even at weekends we often speak to each other. So yeah, all virtual.
Yeah, and that just shows, doesn't it, what can come about even if you haven't actually met somebody in the flesh.
Absolutely, that's one of the nice things that happened out of COVID.
Yeah.
I've met some people that I would never have met.
Yeah.
And Elaine's one of them, and I wouldn't have this business that I've got now. So, you know, I always try to look for the positive in something, and that was definitely one of the positives out of COVID.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me a bit more about Grow Her Business. So what do you do for your clients and who are your clients?
So our clients are ladies who are, they are the business owners. So we don't support MLMs or franchises, and that's because there's really kind of a limit to what we can do with those businesses in terms of, say, for example, looking at pricing or looking at different ways of marketing or different offerings. And they also get a lot of support anyway. So our clients are female business owners who provide a service. And that's because Elaine and I, most of our experience is in the service industry. And we support ladies right from setup or even before setup if they're just thinking about starting their own business. You know, having taken the leap from employed to self-employed, I'm very well placed to speak to people about doing that and how to do it in a planned way. So we support ladies right from before they've set up right through to, you know, well established and beyond. So it's what we do is we've got membership. And everything is online. So we've got 2 levels of membership. There's a networking membership where we hold 2 online networkings a month. And so you can have networking membership or you can have premium membership, which is we provide 2 education or development sessions, whatever words you want to use, per month on something, you know, about a fundamental part of running your business. And then we have 2 education slots a month, 2 networking sessions a month, and a business clinic a month, and that's what we call premium membership. We've also got a free Facebook group called Women Doing It For Themselves, and that's obviously free, and there's lots of support in there and tips and hints, and ladies get to promote themselves on a Friday, and There's lots of motivation and hints and tips from myself and Elaine, and we also have some experts on there who cover some areas that Elaine and I don't cover. And then we've recently just launched our first 12-week Fast Track Your Business Growth program, and that's where we really handhold our ladies if they want to go faster. So it's more intense. It's over 12 weeks, obviously, and it's for those ladies who want to invest in going a bit faster. So we've just launched our first cohort, which is going really well.
Brilliant. So you work with ladies who are in service businesses. What kind of services are they providing?
Lots of coaches, so coaches of all different disciplines, VAs, a lot of VAs, human resources managers, what else? We have solicitor, we have a few accountants, but yeah, lots and lots of coaches of all different aspects, life coaches, hypnotherapists, career coaches, voice coaches. We've even got a voice coach, some business coaches themselves. So all the different types of, financial coaches, education. We've got some coaches in there who provide private education, private education sessions to children who need a bit of extra. So any kind of sort of coaching you can think of, but also some of the professionals like solicitors, accountants, HR, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And where are your ladies? Are they all over the country or even outside of the country?
Yes. We've got a lady in Egypt. She is actually a British lady, but she lives in Egypt, but she works mostly with British people. Yeah. But yes, all over the UK. But it can be global. It can be global. It's
And how do you see it expanding in the future? You're still sort of quite new at the moment.
Yes, we are new. We've got lots of big plans for it, and it's one of those things where we do have to go, right, we need to slow down a bit because you can't do everything at once. But growing the membership is one of our top priorities. Growing the Facebook group, so we've got sort of 90 ladies in there at the minute, and that's growing nicely. And then doing, we'll be putting on future cohorts of the 12-week program. But the other things that we'd like to do in the future are arranging some face-to-face events. So maybe putting on, 2 or 3 different areas of the UK, and sort of having, I don't like the word conference because it sounds very stuffy, but it would be a day for ladies to come together to meet each other face to face. We'd have some inspirational speakers, we'd have some nice food, we'd maybe have some self-care things going on. So I'd have to think of a different word because I don't want to call it a conference, but it would be about some learning, some self-care, some social. So we want to do that. We also want to start our own podcast. So we do just go, right, look, we've got to pace ourselves here, but yeah, we've got big plans for Grow Her Business.
Yeah. And do you find that the ladies that you're talking to are in business, do you find they've got issues in common, problems that everybody's facing?
We do, and often they will say that their challenges are unique, and actually then when you get talking to them in a group, they then realise actually it's not unique at all. Lots of common challenges. Sometimes you get some individual challenges, and Elaine and I always offer our members the opportunity to have one-to-one sessions with us at a reduced, like a discounted rate because they're in the community. And sometimes that is needed, but generally I'd say a good 80% of the challenges are shared and not unique.
So if you could go back to the start of your own entrepreneurial journey, what advice would you give yourself?
There's a few things, Liz, to be honest. One of the things I struggled with at the start was I was using all the wrong language when I was doing my marketing and doing my messaging. So I was saying all the things that in the way that, in my terminology of what my ideal client needed. And it wasn't that wasn't what they needed, but it just wasn't how they described it.
Yeah.
And it was actually Elaine, who I've been I've known Elaine now for 4 years, and I had some sessions with Elaine. I did one of her courses, and she makes you look through the eyes of the buyer. She makes you get into your buyer's world. And although I've been had my own business for 10 years, it was even, that was 5-6 years in. That was a big light bulb moment for me. Nobody had ever explained it to me in the way that Elaine explained it.
Yeah.
And that was a big shift for me in my business. Once I started to get into my buyer's world and use their words and think of the way that they viewed things, that was a game changer for me. So I know, looking back, that my messaging, I spent a lot of time on my marketing, and most of the time it was just falling, there was tumbleweed, really. I also, at the beginning, tried to do everything myself.
Yeah.
To save money, which I understand. I didn't have a lot when I started out. Most of us don't, but it was actually false economy, because what I was doing was I was spending a long time doing stuff that wasn't my forte. I did it badly, and then in the end I had to either give it up or go and get somebody to do it, and so I'd wasted a lot of valuable time. So it's choosing. It's getting some help in, but being choosy about what help you get in.
Yeah.
I would definitely, because you always find a way to find some money, and I'm not talking about tens of thousands, but you always find a way to find a couple of £100 to get somebody to support you with something. And I just kept thinking, no, I'm not spending that. I need to be really frugal. The finance person in with me but actually it was totally false economy. Yeah. So I would definitely. I would have got help with my marketing in the early days, and I probably would have got a bit of coaching myself, and a bit of accountability coaching, because I was flitting from one thing to the other and not finishing stuff. Yeah. So that would be what I would change if I was going back.
Yeah. So grow her business. It sounds to me like you've got a great network there. So presumably networking is something that's important to you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I love people, and I love talking, and those two things go well. I know there's people out there who go to networking who don't enjoy it, but they do it, and they have to do it, and they get on with it, and they do a good job. But I actually thrive on it. I thrive walking into a room of people I don't know, yes, network. I mean, I'd say 90% of my clients have come from networking, or they've come from people that have referred me because they've met me at networking, or an existing client that then's referred me. So I haven't had huge success in getting clients through social media marketing. Now, in saying that, I am very much a LinkedIn person, and I know I've got, I've got a good profile on there in terms of people. I post regularly. I give value posts. I know people check me out on there, but I don't actually. I've had one client that I can think of that came directly from LinkedIn, who hadn't met me in any other way. Yeah. But it is still very good for somewhere for people to go and check you out, and look at what you do, look at your look at people who've recommended you. But networking is a big part of me as a person. Even personally, my kids will laugh. The kids are 29 and 26, but if we go anywhere, I'm always chatting to people, and then they'll say, and then I bump into somebody and they're like, oh, here she goes again. But I love people, so yes, it's a big part of me, and it's a big part of Grow Her Business.
Yeah. So how do you like to network? Are there sort of particular kinds of events that you like going to?
I probably prefer face-to-face. Don't get me wrong, virtual is very good, and it's a way to meet people that you wouldn't meet if they don't live in your area. But I love to be in the same room. I love to feel the energy. So my favourite is a face-to-face. I like it when you get a bit of both, where you get to listen to someone talk, do a presentation, but also have the opportunity to do some sort of open networking, over a coffee or, if there's some food or whatever. So I like to have them. I don't like it where it's all open networking and it sort of feels a bit disorganized, but when it's structured and you've got, right, okay, we're going to do some open networking, then we're going to sit down and listen to Fred talk to us about, I don't know, imposter syndrome or something, and then we're going to do a bit more open networking. And I like a bit of structure. I do like structure, but I do quite a bit of online networking as well, because it's a good way to meet other people, and it's good time management as well. So yeah, hopefully that's that face to face definitely my favourite, because I just love being around people.
Yeah. And is networking something that you encourage your members to do outside of your Grow Her Business?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Definitely, you need to go to more than just one networking event. You need to have a few different ones that you go to. Now, in saying that, you do need to be careful. Don't spend your whole week networking and your whole week having one-to-ones. And I say that from bitter experience. So it's looking, and you've got to try different networking groups. Get a feel. Is this a sort of, because quite often the energy or the not the energy. Quite often how the group is run will be affected a lot by who's running it.
Yes.
So go along to the meeting, whether it's online or face to face. Get a feel for it. Do I like the person who's running it? Am I connected with them? Do I like how they run it? Do I like the sort of people that are coming? And you probably maybe need to try something a couple of times before you can make a decision. You do need to be mindful that it's not the people in the room. That it's all the people they know, and I made that mistake in the early days as well. I'd go along to a meeting and I'd be like, well, there's nobody here who's my ideal client, and that was so wrong, because it's not those people, it's all the people they know. Apparently on average we know each of us knows 100 people. I reckon I could easily pick the phone up to 500 and then know who I am. So always remember it's the people in the room. Now, in saying that, if you've been going to a networking event for months or even years and you're getting nothing from it, you need to stop, because your return on your time, like your time, particularly, well, for anyone, but particularly someone who provides a service, your time is your most precious resource. So you have to be really all over the return on your time. So challenge yourself, do a little review on your networking activities every so often and go, right, what am I getting from that meeting? And it might be that you don't go to it for clients or leads. Maybe you go to it because you get education or you get a confidence boost. But if you're not getting anything from it, you need to change things up.
Yeah.
And yes, you absolutely shouldn't just put all your eggs in one basket. You need to have a few different communities to network with. But yes, in answer to your question, we do advise our ladies to get into a few different networking arenas, and we obviously advise them to mind their return on their time, and not be frightened to change things up.
Yeah, and I think coming back to a point you made a couple of minutes ago, it really is. Things are really dependent on who is running the meeting, and you can go to meetings that are part of a national network that are all sort of supposed to be the same.
Yeah.
But they can be very different depending on who it is that's at the front, basically.
Absolutely. Oh, and I've been there, Liz. I've been there where I've gone to a few different meetings that are run by the same franchise or whatever you want to call it, and just a very different feel, very different vibe, very different results. So yeah, it's all about connection, isn't it?
Yes.
You've got to see if you connect with people, and if you're not connecting, then don't do it.
Yeah. So one final question, Judith. If people want to find out more about you or Grow Her Business, what is the best place for them to find you?
Okay, well, we've got a website, which I think you'll probably put the website address in the notes. I'm on LinkedIn, Elaine Atherton is on LinkedIn as well, if you want to check both of us out who run Grow Her Business. We've got the free Facebook group for, as I say, for ladies who provide a service, and it's called Women Doing It For Themselves. So you can, any ladies can come on there and get in and join that amazing community. And you know, I'd be happy for you to put my email address in the notes as well. I'm always up for a chat. I love a chat, so
I will certainly do that. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and you're the best of luck with Grow Her Business, because it's, you know, you're sort of coming up for a year old, but it sounds like it's really going to keep on growing.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Thank you. We're very excited about it. I get goosebumps when I really start to think about what we're doing. So, no, thank you again for the opportunity to come on here and chat to you. It's been lovely.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.